On December 4th, 1959, the skies over San Diego were clear as 21-year-old Navy pilot Ensign Albert Hickman prepared for carrier landing training maneuvers in his McDonnell F3H Demon. This jet, plagued with engine trouble since its inception, had earned a reputation for unreliability. As Hickman executed his practice maneuvers, which initially went great, a familiar sense of unease crept in after some time. The Demon's engine, notorious for its flaws, began to falter. At just 2,000 feet, it cut out completely, leaving him in a dire situation. Hickman's mind raced. Below him was a school filled with children. He knew that ejecting would save his life, but the unmanned jet could cause a devastating disaster. With seconds to decide, Hickman faced a race against time and his own survival instinct. He knew just what to do. After all, he was a Demon driver, flying an aircraft that demanded extraordinary bravery from those who flew it. In the late 1940s, with the advent of more technology, the United States Navy anticipated the appearance of Soviet Union-made jet fighters with lethal performance. As such, the service issued requirements for a high-performance swept-wing naval fighter. McDonnell was one of the 6 aircraft companies that responded to the Navy, and the design team began developing the F3H, an all-new aircraft, the first swept-wing design from the company, and among the first U.S. aircraft capable of equipping missiles in 1949. The design gained the interest of Navy officials, and McDonnell was issued a development contract for 2 prototypes in September. Before long, prototypes for the new model began to roll off the production line. However, as early as November 1950, a new and frighteningly accurate model entered the combat sphere in Korea. While the Soviets initially attempted to hide their authorship, America quickly learned about the now iconic Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-15 jet fighter. With many advantages over the American-made McDonnell F2H Banshee and Grumman F9F Panther, the U.S. Navy reconsidered, and this shockingly effective combat debut made the McDonnell project a top priority, although with many changes to design. Now, the service was pushing for the new aircraft, originally envisioned as a short-range interceptor role, to a medium-range all-weather fighter, with this latest adaptation requiring an additional 7,000 pounds of added weight, on top of an already heavy 22,000 pounds. To fulfill all these requirements, McDonnell agreed to power the aircraft with the Westinghouse J-40 engine. Under development at the time, the J-40 was, according to service officials, poised to be the greatest motor for the upcoming generation of American aircraft. Set to have thrust of over 11,000 pounds of force, 3 times more than the engines of the Banshee model. The resulting F-3H aircraft, nicknamed Demon, emerged as an all-new design, and the prototype made its maiden flight on August 7, 1951, at the hands of test pilot Robert Edholm. This model quickly proved reliably easy to fly and fairly maneuverable, and the controls were responsive. However, there was one major and unexpected problem. It was severely underpowered. Once finished, the Demon, designed around the Westinghouse J-40 engine, was very unreliable. Most importantly, it produced only half of the expected power, and it was especially bad during high-altitude flights. While this could have been in part due to the model's weight, this major disappointment caused James Smith McDonnell, the president of McDonnell Aircraft Corporation, to personally redact a letter to Washington requesting a substitute engine and warning that using the J-40 would be a, quote, disappointingly underpowered combination. Still, the United States Navy opted to persist. Troubles with the power plant remained. The first prototype was lost during a test flight, a few months after its maiden flight. From August 1952 to October 1955, 11 Demon jets were involved in crashes, resulting in the unfortunate loss of 4 pilots. These incidents led to the grounding of the entire fleet, putting the program at risk of cancellation. This situation prompted a congressional investigation into the Navy's jet aircraft procurement practices. After this, McDonnell was finally given the green light to adopt the less powerful Allison J-71 engine, the first of this kind to make its first flight in October 1954. This new power plant allowed production to continue, and the Navy ramped up production, pumping out 519 McDonnell F3H Demons by 1959. As finished, the McDonnell F3H Demon is a subsonic swept-wing carrier-based jet fighter aircraft that was large for its day, with a maximum takeoff weight of 39,000 pounds. The model was almost supersonic, as it reached a maximum speed of Mach 0.94 at 35,000 feet and could operate at up to 44,000 feet. Due to its quoted high fuel construction due to its engine, the Demon only had an operational range of up to 1,370 miles. With engine troubles delaying the program's development, the road to operational service was anything but smooth. Yet, by 1956, the F3H Demon was finally ready to debut in the U.S. Navy. On March 7, 1956, the McDonnell F3H Demon was introduced to operational service. While the model arrived a little too late to serve in Korea, she would likely have performed excellently there, as she was an armed beast for an aircraft of its type, with 4 20mm cannons, 4 Sidewinder or Sparrow missiles, and 3 tons of bomb capacity. However, the cannons were often removed to decrease weight. Later versions of the model could even carry up to 6,000 pounds of bombs. From the cockpit, pilots aboard the flying wingtip model had a completely unobstructed view of the air around them, earning the jet the nickname the Chair. Another much less fortunate nickname, due to its less than ideal power-to-weight ratio, was the Lead Sled. The Demon would never escape its performance limitations, which included a lack of power compared to other naval contemporaries, and high fuel consumption that limited range and required sparing use of the afterburner. While the finished model didn't have all the abilities the United States Navy once hoped for, it was still highly effective as an all-weather missile-armed interceptor. The type was an ideal companion for the Navy's contemporary day fighters, like the Grumman F-11 Tiger carrier-based fighter and the Vought F-8U Crusader carrier-based air superiority jet aircraft. Throughout its service, pilots grew to appreciate the aircraft's many abilities. In a short time, the airmen were given the nickname Demon Drivers, while those who maintained and kept the F-3H were known as Demon Doctors. During its career, the Cold War-era F-3H saw action in only a handful of conflicts, all of which coincidentally happened in 1958. The first was the Lebanon Crisis, a serious political crisis caused by religious and political tensions, further influenced by broader regional dynamics, including the Arab-Israeli conflict and the influence of Western and Eastern blocs during the Cold War. In response to a distressed request for help from the Lebanese government in July, President Eisenhower authorized Operation Blue Bat, deploying U.S. Marines and other military forces to the other side of the world to stabilize the situation and prevent a potential coup. The F-3H Demons traveled there as part of the U.S. Navy's 6th Fleet in the Mediterranean. Their primary role was to provide air cover and fleet defense during the operation, ensuring the safety of U.S. forces and contributing to the deterrent presence in the region. Their second use was the Second Taiwan Strait Crisis. Considered by many as the first serious nuclear crisis, this conflict erupted in August when the People's Republic of China, or PRC, began shelling the islands of Kornoi and Matsu, controlled by the Republic of China, Taiwan. With these moves, the PRC aimed to force Taiwan into submission and test the United States' resolve in defending its ally. The United States responded by aiding their ally in full, deploying naval and air forces to the region to deter further aggression, including F-3H Demons as part of the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet. Deployed to the Taiwan Strait, the Demons conducted fleet defense operations over the island, ensuring the protection of ROC forces and preventing the enemy from gaining air superiority. In the midst of its service record, one event stands out for its sheer heroism: the 1959 actions of Ensign Albert Hickman. On December 4, 1959, 21-year-old Navy pilot Ensign Albert Hickman took off from Naval Air Station Miramar in San Diego, California, to practice carrier landing maneuvers aboard his McDonnell F3H Demon. After completing his training exercises, the young pilot set course back toward the Naval Air Station, where he was assigned to land. However, while flying at a relatively low altitude of only 2,000 feet, Hickman's Demon suddenly experienced catastrophic engine failure. As his Demon gave out, Pilot Hickman noticed his precarious position, flying over a densely populated residential area with a school directly in his flight path. Faced with the terrifying prospect of his aircraft crashing into children, Hickman had a critical decision to make. If he initiated ejection procedures, while he would be safe, the unmanned jet could cause widespread destruction. And so, Hickman chose the tragic yet heroic path, and opted to stay with the stricken aircraft, trying to steer it away from the residential neighborhoods and the school, skillfully executing a controlled glide as best he could, attempting to maximize the distance his powerless Demon could travel away from the populated area. As he descended, faster and faster, very near the school, Hickman opened the canopy and frantically waved at the children below, urging them to take cover. Thankfully, his desperate attempts to divert the aircraft from the schoolyard bore fruit. The F3H Demon narrowly cleared the school fence before crashing into San Clemente Canyon. Moments later, a massive fireball erupted from the impact site, sending plumes of smoke into the sky. Hickman's extraordinary bravery and quick thinking prevented a catastrophic disaster. His actions saved the lives of approximately 700 children and staff at the school. The service and the local community quickly recognized his heroism, posthumously awarding him the Navy and Marine Corps Medal. In all its service life, the McDonnell F3H Demon never fired a shot in anger, likely much to the relief of most pilots who flew the plane. According to Naval Aviator Captain Jerry O'Rourke, regarding the aircraft's poor maneuverability and acceleration, quote, "It was often heard in those days that Demon pilots were the only thinking fighter pilots. In truth, Demon pilots who were not advanced planners and thinkers didn't last very long. A good effect of the F3H-2 was to make all naval aviators into better planners and thinkers." The United States Navy began phasing out the Demon from frontline service in 1962, so it never saw action in Vietnam. In 1964, the very last squadron with Demons in their arsenal, BF-161, last deployed them on board USS Oriskany Essex-class aircraft carriers. Yet, the spirit of the McDonnell F3H Demon lived on, as there's a clear, continuous line of evolution to another iconic aircraft. All the way back in 1953, McDonnell's team, led by Herman Barkey, sought to extend the Demon's viability and expand its versatility. To address the Demon's issues, McDonnell developed an in-house variant, the F3HX. Seeking further improvements, they refined the F3HG Model 98B, featuring lateral intakes, exhausts, an enlarged wing, 4 20mm cannons, and impressive external store capability. The Navy favored its twin-engine configuration for safety. Barkey's team built a full-scale mock-up of the F3HG 98B, with one side for the J65 engine and the other for the J79. On September 19, 1953, McDonnell submitted the design to the Navy. Although impressed, the service had already committed to other models. However, top executives encouraged McDonnell to refine it for an all-weather attack role. In 1954, the design was resubmitted, and 2 prototypes were built. Despite initial enthusiasm, the program was canceled. McDonnell then redesigned a prototype into a 2-seat interceptor, leading to the selection of the J79 engine and the designation F4H Phantom II. The rest is history. The F4 Phantom II, successor to the McDonnell Demon, became one of the most successful fighter jets, with over 5,000 units produced, serving in numerous air forces worldwide, and remaining in service with different nations up to this day.